if y'all can see me yet or hear me. Hold on. Okay, it says I'm live. Can y'all see me? I hate how I always look confused and lost. Let me wait. Tay! Okay. Y'all hear me yelling at my child? Okay. Hey, you guys. I'm trying to make sure there's not two different live streams going on. Hold on. Okay, good. You guys can hear me. Okay, I'm seeing everybody. What's up, Wendy? I see you in there. Okay, good. So everybody is public. Nobody is blocked. We shouldn't have any special. I really try to check all the settings before I went live. So I want to make sure everybody can come in here. There were rumors that I was being a greedy bitch last week and only letting paid customers come into my live stream. That was not true. I literally got a pop-up when I started my live, and it said, click here to talk to your members. So I thought it was going to be like an option because on Blog Talk Radio, there's an option when I used to do that where you could talk, like you could like private message people while you're doing your live stream. So like somebody could pop up, send you a private message, say, I'm going to call from this number. Can you answer my call? So I thought that was the feature. Oh no, not on YouTube with their greedy asses. What they did, they basically made it where if you weren't a paid member to my live stream, you could not talk. And so a lot of people left thinking I was being funny. I was trying to charge for my lives. And that was not the case. I didn't know until like 20 minutes into the live. And then once I was made aware of it, I made it public and everybody came flooding in, honey, like the Red Sea, okay? So that was a rumor. I'm not charging for my live streams. So right now, we have about 500 people in here. I hope you guys are doing good. Okay, good. So you guys can hear me. Perfect. And I didn't want to be too close because I'm still trying to figure everything out. I'm listening to y'all's critiques, everything. And some people are like, you're too close. Your face is too fat. Get out the camera. So I moved it back a little bit so that way I'm not booming y'all's face. I hope this angle is okay. I hope I'm not too far back, but not too far close either. I was trying to call my son to shut my door. Okay, good. Give me a second. I'm about to shut my door. Give me 2 seconds. I got all these cords. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I feel like I unplugged something. Let me make sure I didn't pull anything out. Oh, I did pull something out. Let me plug this in. Okay, sorry for all the technical stuff. I don't like when my door is wide open. I don't like echoes and all that stuff. Okay, so anyways, I hope you guys are doing good. I wanted to do a nostalgia show. We're going to dedicate this to Stan Lee, the father of Marvel Comics, along with him and Jackie Kirby, who died several years ago. So if you guys don't know, Stan Lee passed earlier in the week. And so they already had his funeral already. So a lot of folks were thinking it was going to be this huge thing. And I'm going to go to Stan Lee's funeral. And I'm going to be dressed like Spider-Man. Shit, good luck. Anyhow, they already buried him if you guys don't know. Basically, he did not want a huge superhero send-off. He wanted a small private funeral. He knew he had like a lot of, fans worldwide and stuff like that. He didn't want to cause any chaos. And y'all know he was a really humble man. So what they're saying is that basically he was laid to rest in a small private affair, keeping his final wishes. So he was very adamant about not having a public funeral. So he was buried about 2 days ago. So he's already literally gone, which I thought was cool that he was so humble with it. So we're going to wait till we get at least 1,000 people in here. R.I.P. to Stan Lee. That's who we're talking about. And I want to go ahead. Let me pull up my OBS so I can show you guys the article because I was pulling that up earlier. So I'm going to toggle between both of these screens here. Thank you, Lady Life. I love this wig. I really do. I enjoy it. I like switching it up. You can have hair and still wear wigs. So this is the the Stan Lee article right here. Oh, not that one. Let me find it. I got so many things here. Okay. So this was the article here talking about his funeral. So like I said, he's already been buried. It's not going to be a big public memorial. It's not going to be on, ABC, none of that stuff. So he's already been buried. We have a super chat. What's up, Z? I don't know how to pronounce the rest. But she says, hey, T, fresh off work, and I'm in this thing. You're such a blessing. I want you to know that. Thank you guys so much. And as you guys know, I got sick on Friday, and so I had to go to the hospital. I was there for about 6 hours. So I'm still kind of under the weather, so excuse my voice. Anyhow, after being there for 6 hours, they ran a gambit of tests. And I was fighting a bronchial infection. So I got bronchitis. So I'm still fighting that. I'm still kind of under the weather. That's why I've been coughing. It was due to like the bronchitis. So hopefully they said within 2 weeks I should be better. But that wasn't going to stop me. I had shit to do this weekend. They wanted to keep me. I was like, no, I'm out. I'm done. I'm just so tired of, hospital stays. So I left. Enjoyed my son's basketball game this weekend. And plus, I really wanted to do this live stream with you guys because I'm really enjoying these Sundays, chopping it up with everybody. So we have 1,226 people in here. What's up, everybody? Let me go ahead and read some of these comments. Shout out to my moderators. Thank you, Linus to Judah. I see you in here. Somebody said eat some fermented veggies. I don't know where to get fermented veggies from. Please let me know. What's up, Jay? Thank you so much, Ella. Yeah, the reason why I was slaying in my hospital picture, I took that because, whenever I say I'm in the hospital, people tend to not believe me. Like, oh, she's lying. It's always some conspiracy. So I was like, okay, well, while I'm here, I might as well take a picture. But I initially went to a doctor's appointment first. And they did a bunch of work and testing. And, because I'm already dealing with a chronic illness, he wanted me to go to the ER and get further testing. So that's why I was already dressed, and looking fierce because I had already went to the doctors. But then I ended up having to go to the ER for like another 6 hours. So that's what that was. But yeah, for the most part, I'm feeling better. Let me see. Aspiring Creator said bronchitis can be brutal. I admire your strength. It just disappeared. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been hard, and not knowing like why I keep coughing and my chest has been hurting, but it is what it is. Y'all's not here to listen to all that, listen to my woes and shit. Oh, trust me, Treehouse, I got my tea right here, boo. I've been sipping on it. Let's see here. We got some super chats. Rita Shimo says, Minneapolis and St. Paul love you. Keep doing your thing. Thank you so much. Thank you for telling me that, because sometimes I feel like the Twin Cities don't know who the hell I am. I get more love in other cities than the Twin Cities. But thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that people in the Twin Cities are starting to know me more from YouTube, because, I'm more popular in other cities than I am here in the Twin Cities. So that makes me feel good. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kayla Adams, for the $14.99. Let me see here. Malik Norman says, hey, T, my fave. When you coming back to Brooklyn? Soon. I cannot wait to come back to New York. It needs to get a little bit warmer. So I'm going to wait until, once the springtime hits, I'm definitely back. I love New York. People on the East Coast keep it real. That's why whenever I do my meet and greets, it's always in New York, because I really get a chance to know you guys, and it's some, sincere stuff. It's not fake and phony and things like that. So, oh, Serenity says, my birthday's today. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Oh, Spanish Girl Prada says, much love from Spain. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm in the Twin Cities right now. Yep. I'm back here. I'm not in LA anymore. But yeah, so anyhow, it's been a lot going on. I wanted to talk about the 90s. I want to do a 90s show about nostalgia dedicated to Stan Lee. So that's why we are here. And one thing I remember, talking about and having conversations about is the fact that Saturday morning cartoons. This is something that a lot of kids do not know anything about, especially this generation, like my kids, a lot of teenagers. People they're always like, what the hell, what is Saturday morning cartoons? When we were growing up, in the 80s and 90s. Now, Saturday morning cartoons, I guess it started back in the 60s and 70s. I don't know about all that, but I know being a damn 80s kid, okay? And an 80s baby and a 90s kid, we used to have Saturday morning cartoons. And so what happened is that It would be like on ABC, CBS. Fox wasn't around back then. This was before Fox. And then NBC. So it was on these 3 stations. And you would get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, have a bowl of cereal. I grew up in a Nigerian household, so we didn't eat like a lot of like American cereal. Like we had ogi porridge. That's what I ate in the morning when I watched cartoons. So like, yeah, we wasn't eating Captain Crunch and all that stuff, Lucky Charms. I didn't have that until like I got to junior high. But so that's what we would get up eating, and we'd watch the Saturday morning cartoons, and it would help me like learn English and stuff like that, right? So they had like all types of stuff. But back in the 80s, there was like no regulation. So you had shows like the Garbage Pail Kids. It was all types of just like really crazy shows. Dungeons and Dragons. I vaguely remember that show. And that talked a lot about like, you know, like magic spells and, you know, spiritual stuff. Occultism. So there was like a lot of like just really crazy cartoons geared towards kids. And for y'all who don't know who the Garbage Pail Kids are, I'm going to go ahead and show this to you guys. This was really popular when I was like in 1st and 2nd grade. And it was like this disgusting cartoons with like these mutated kids, and I mean, they would be like eating boogers and just doing all types of disgusting stuff. And then they had trading cards. And I remember at our school, it got really crazy where people would have the trading cards. And if you got caught with them, the teachers would take them from you. But that was like before the whole Pokemon cards. It was Garbage Pail Kids. Let me know if y'all remember this shit. Or am I just old as hell? Let me go to the comment section. Who remembers the Garbage Pail Kids? I watch the cartoon every now and then. Derek Ellis says, sure did. Let me see. Rachel said, oh my God, the Garbage Pail Kids. I remember these. Thank you. Yep, the Garbage Pail Kids. Like, it was a crazy cartoon. I remember Gargoyles. Literally, like, in the 80s, they just made cartoons about anything. And so what I'm finding out now that I'm older, and I've been researching what happened to Saturday morning cartoons, they were literally making these cartoons so they could sell toys and merchandise. Because think about it, when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, anytime there was a cartoon out, there was merchandise that was sold right alongside it. I remember watching He-Man and She-Ra, and I had all this She-Ra, you know, her little, whatever the hell she wrote on, some cat. I had her cat, and I had the She-Ra doll. And then my friends next door, Justin and Tony, they had like the whole He-Man collection, Castle Grey Cloud. They had all that stuff. And I remember us running around like, that was the theme song for He-Man. That was the theme song for He-Man. That was the show also back then. Y'all remember that? Oh yeah, they had a show called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Rap Cat, I remember that. They literally used to make a show about anything. It was just insane, the stuff that they were just using to market to kids. And you would watch these, like you'd literally be watching Ghostbusters, right? And then whenever Ghostbusters were on, it was always like the Ghostbuster toy commercials. So you see them like with the little, what is that? Like the Echo Slime and the little Ghostbuster machines that would like zap the ghost. And so you would be watching the show, you'd see the commercial in between the show, and then you would think these toys would do the same thing. And then when you got the toys, it was never like how the damn commercials made it seem. Oh my goodness. So what were some of y'all's favorite cartoons growing up? And I'm going to be able to tell what era you grew up in, depending on the cartoons that you name. Because I'm seeing people writing Thundercats. Thundercats was one of my favorite shows when I was like 5 or 6. Like, I love the Thundercats. I was like the biggest Shatara fan. And I don't get down when nobody says Lion-O's ass was fine to me, okay? I used to watch G.I. Joe. Oh my goodness, there's so many memories. Jim and the Holograms. Yes, Miss Mommy. That was definitely 80s. Jim and the Holograms was the shit. Jim, it's truly outrageous. Truly, truly, truly outrageous. I used to watch that before school. I remember Punky Brewster. You're so correct, Savannah. Punky Brewster had her own cartoon. That was like a spinoff from the show. Okay, people writing Rugrats, you guys are like literally late 90s babies. You guys are not, people are like Rugrats. That was like the late 90s, so you guys are young. Okay, I see the Smurfs. What's up, JT? Reality TV News says the Rugrats dug Captain Planet. I remember racing home to go watch Captain Planet. That was my show right there. Let's see. The Proud Family. You're definitely a baby, okay? Because that's a newer show. Brittany says Care Bears. I remember that. Anthony Rogers says Ben 10 and Pokemon. We got more Smarves. The Marvel Superhero Family. Fraggle Rock. I remember that. X-Men. Pink Dog says Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. I don't remember that one. What generation you from? I don't remember Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. I'm going to have to look that up. Kadre says X-Men, Batman, Ren and Stimpy. I used to love Ren and Stimpy on Nickelodeon. Yeah, Thundercats. I don't care. Thundercats, the Jetsons, Woody Woodpecker, Garfield, Mighty Mouse. Yep, you were definitely 80s, baby. I remember Mighty Mouse. Tailspin, I remember them. Somebody keeps writing Daria. That was MTV, and that was like in the late 90s. I remember Daria. Somebody says Bionic 6. Gullah Gullah Island was a TV show, baby. That wasn't a cartoon. But I liked it, though. That was on Nickelodeon. I did used to watch Gullah Gullah Island. My Little Pony, Johnny Quest, Animaniacs. Yeah, so there was so many shows. Teen Titan, that was more newer. Eureka's Castle. I forgot all about Eureka's Castle. Rocko's Modern Life. The Magic School Bus. Yes, like these cartoons raised a whole generation of kids. Like it really did. I mean, and this was before we had internet and social media. So that was the thing. You would watch these cartoons. You would act them out. I mean, I remember like us in the neighborhood playing Thundercats. And because I was the girl, I was the tomboy, with all the guys, I was always Shatara. You know what I'm saying? And so you would act these out. It's like we had to use our imaginations. There was no iPads. There was no, internet connection. There was none of that stuff back then. And it was like a really innocent time. And so a lot of things ruined Saturday morning cartoons. A lot of people feel like, they want it to come back. But I don't think it would be the same. Because one of the things that ruined it is the FCC. They came up with like a lot of federal regulations to basically state that it was too many commercials being pushed. And, kids were literally being brainwashed by these commercials and bothering their parents, wanting these toys and acting things out. So they made it where they could only show up to what they say, like 10 commercials in a certain amount of hour time span, where before they were allowed to, literally fit commercials in every, like let's say the show is 22 minutes long. So in between the 22 minutes, let's say they air like the first 7 minutes of the show, it'd be a commercial. The next 7 minutes, it'd be another commercial. So when they did it, they made it where they could only do one commercial during that entire broadcast. So they changed a lot of stuff. There was a lot of parent groups that were really upset. And then like I said, in the 80s, there was really no regulation. And back then, the only time you watch cartoons was on the weekend. But then as the 90s came to play and more people started getting cable, that kind of helped to phase it out as well. Because then at that point with cable television, then you had channels like the Disney Channel. They mainly showed cartoons 24/7. You had Nickelodeon starting their own line of cartoons. So it was a lot of things that kind of deaded Saturday morning cartoons. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this video. It's from this YouTube channel. I forget the name, but you guys can look it up. I recorded the title of it. And basically, he's going to kind of break it down, in their opinion, what they researched, what stopped Saturday morning cartoons. So I want you guys to check this out really quick. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Where did it go? Here it is.
Sure, we aren't doing any long-term damage. Researchers wanted to determine the effect all those hours in front of televisions and exposure to direct marketing was having on all these kids. What they found was that children did indeed have a
Let me start over because it was echoing. Let me start over.
Sure, we aren't doing any long-term damage. Researchers wanted to determine the effect all those hours in front of televisions and exposure to direct marketing was having on all these kids. What they found was that children did indeed have a difficult time understanding the difference between the entertainment portion of the program and the commercials running with it. They found that kids in general didn't really understand how manipulative commercials could be, how clever their creators were at creating demand for a product or an experience. Researchers and parents groups worried about the sustained exposure to animated violence and its normalizing effect, the direct pipeline of commercialism to children's brains. And during the 1970s, their voices were loud enough to get the federal government to implement some rules for the kind of content that cartoon studios could produce and air on network television. In 1978, the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, considered a measure to outright ban all direct advertising to any children aged 6 and under. Instead, after what was probably an historic period of lobbying by groups representing the advertising industry, cartoon, toy, and cereal producers, the networks were instead encouraged to balance out the content on their networks, maybe make some of the stuff educational and informational. And so began the continuous battle between marketers and television producers on one side trying to protect the freedom of the marketplace, and parents and concerned citizens on the other trying to protect, the kids from being preyed upon by those very smart adult business people. The Schoolhouse Rock series, a Saturday morning Hall of Famer, was a result of that government pressure, as well as other animated shorts like Time for Timer and the live-action One to Grow On series. Some networks took the additional step of creating actual news programs geared specifically for kids that broke down important news of the day, not just news. The 1980s would be the peak for Saturday morning cartoons. Total indulgence, total mastery of the model. Cartoons as entertainment, yes, but also as advertisement themselves. Partnerships between animation studios and toy companies, video game producers, every potential product tie-in that could be exploited into or out of a cartoon was in play. Almost nothing was created that didn't have the ulterior motive of selling additional products. The 80s are also when the indulgences reached too far, when cracks started to show in the foundation. Daily syndicated cartoons like G.I. Joe and Transformers started to splinter the focused marketing appeal of Saturday mornings. Weekdays didn't have the same degree of rules that Saturday mornings had. The audience was beginning to spread out and break up. Not to mention video game consoles and home video systems demanding a greater share of consumers' attention. TV was losing its monopoly on eyeball time, and Saturday mornings were one of the first victims.
Okay, let me see here. So you guys got a chance to check that out. And I saw Miss Blue said Kid and Play had a cartoon. And that's funny that you said that. Can you guys hear me first and foremost? I want to make sure everybody can hear me. We have so many comments in here right now. Okay, good. We was in there talking about the Gummy Bears cartoon and how they would drink that gummy juice and they would start bouncing like it was crack. They would be going crazy. Anyway, she brought up the fact that Kid and Play had a cartoon. Now, who remembers this and also the Hammer Time cartoon? Okay, good. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Yep. MC Hammer had his own cartoon. Kid and Play had a cartoon. I remember Bo Jackson. He also had his own cartoon as well. And what was so funny is, like, you know how, like, a lot of celebrities nowadays have, like, clothing lines? Like, every celebrity has a clothing line, or they're selling perfume. Well, back then, literally, you were not, you were not the shit unless you had your own cartoon. There were just so many random cartoons that used to be made in the 90s. It was ridiculous. But now looking back on it, they probably made those cartoons, you know what I'm saying, to help their music sales. Because I know after Hammer got really popular, he was able to maintain a lot of popularity with the youth because of that cartoon, just like with Kid and Play. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys remember that. Yep, they had their own cartoon. Yep, MC Hammer. Jomo says, "Oh shit, I forgot about the Hammer, the Hammer cartoon." He did, and Bo knows. Remember that? I used to hate that cartoon because it was like, damn, well, what don't Bo know? Shit, Bo knows every damn thing. His cartoon used to get on my nerves. Tamilio says, "T, remember the PSAs that would come on during cartoons? They used to scare me." Oh yeah, remember? Who remembers this? This is your brain. And then they crack the egg, and they be like, "This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?" That is such a 90s thing. Who remembers that? That little fried egg commercial, and they were showing like your brain being fried. Those PSAs were crazy when they were like trying to like get people not to use, get teens not to use drugs, and they would have like the craziest PSAs. And that's the one thing I liked about what was that? The G.I. Joe cartoons, and it was a few other ones too. They always had like some type of like moral thing at the end, like like. Let's say like a kid falls off his bike, and then, morally the right thing to do is to not, poke fun and laugh at him, but to, pick him up and help him out. So that was one good thing about cartoons back then. There was always some type of moral lesson, like, G.I. Joe, American's hero. And then it's like, no one is half the battle. So there was always some type of like little morality tied into a lot of these cartoons, which was cool. But then as I got older, and I started researching. There was a lot of like Illuminati references and New World Order references in the G.I. Joe cartoons. If you guys ever go and watch like the conspiracy videos about G.I. Joe, how they were like conditioning us to get ready for like the New World Order and all types of stuff. So like looking back on a lot of these old school cartoons, there's a lot of subliminal stuff. Even like with the X-Men and things like that. And that was probably like my favorite morning cartoon was the X-Men. I remember getting up early to watch that. Like, if you missed the X-Men, you were literally sick Monday morning on the school bus because everybody would be talking about it. And, back then there was no DVR. There was no internet. So, you're literally listening to everybody talk about it because your ass overslept on a Saturday. So, that was like the worst. And then you'd have to wait until the following weekend and then, see the new episode and try and figure out from the new episode what happened the week before. So, that was the one crazy thing about it. Is the fact that, now we live in such a microwave society where these kids, they have no idea. If they want to see something, it's literally at their fingertips. They can just go onto YouTube, Google a particular series. They can watch an entire season on Netflix literally within a whole weekend. Whereas with us, we have to wait. You know what I'm saying? We have to be patient. We used to have discussions about it after the show aired. And then, wait until the next week. And that's where they get the conversation, water cooler conversations from. You know what I'm saying? From people watching shows and then discussing it around the water cooler. And now you can watch a show in an entire weekend. So it's definitely different. It really is. Let me see. JK says, yup, up early as fuck. Nafria says, knowing is half the battle. Jessica says, X-Men was my shit. Yes, it really was. That was like, and I think the thing I really liked about shows like X-Men and G.I. Joe is that it had like a really like intellectual thing to it. Like you had to be smart to like really watch those shows and catch on because it was a lot of like adult themes. It wasn't dumbed down cartoon, and that's what I liked about it. Just like with Jim and the Holograms, like even when I watch it now as an adult, I'm like, damn, these were like some really grown situations that my ass, who was 8, was watching. You know what I mean? Like those cartoons used to kiss on the lips, and Rio used to be jealous. Like looking at it now, like in this whole modern society where everything is offensive, trust me, the Me Too movement would be going after Rio and his purple-headed ass. Like, you know what? He's probably beating Jim. He's always angry. He's probably beating on Erica. He was literally 2-timing Erica with Jim. Like, that whole love triangle between them was insane. You know what I'm saying? And then the fact that Erica knew that she was Jim and her boyfriend was cheating with, her alter ego. Like, that was the shit we were watching when we were 8 years old. Like, when you think about it, like, look how crazy that was as an 8-year-old watching, like, literally this love triangle play out and then watching how jealous he would act. And, if it wasn't a cartoon, he probably would have put his hands on them. Because Rio used to be acting real crazy on that cartoon. Diva View says, laugh my ass off, not me too on Rio. No, for real. Y'all remember Rio always had his fist balled up. He was always ready to fight. I'm telling you, cartoons back in the 80s and 90s were so real. Like, the cartoons they have now, like, have been seriously dumbed down. But back then, if you want to watch some real cartoons, go back and get into Jim and the Holograms. Go back and get into the X-Men. Go back and get into G.I. Joe, Transformers. Like, those cartoons were like, you had to, like, be really smart and sharp to, like, really, stay in tune with it. Those were not dumbed down cartoons. And that's what I loved about it. Yes, Rio was a player. And Jim was crazy. I love you too, Itachi. Thank you so much. You know what Angel's Cry says? Sinbad and his magic carpet. I remember that. Yup, Batman was really good too, Nunya. That was a really good cartoon as well. The Batman cartoon. I remember Strawberry Shortcake. I remember the PJs. Recess. Now, that was later on. I love Recess. I really did. I remember watching that with my little sister. That was like more her generation because by then I was in high school. But I used to watch Recess all the time. Like, even now if it comes on, I'm going to stop and watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it definitely brings back memories. Like, I just love how they had like the whole hierarchy, the 5th graders and King Bob and everything else and Gretchen Grundler. And my favorite was Spinelli because it's like she hung out with all these weirdo kids. But she was like the tough girl. Like, okay, I can clown my friends. I can, top mess to them, but you're not going to top mess to them. So I definitely love Spinelli. And then, of course, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was a really good cartoon as well. remember Street Sharks, but I vaguely remember them. I don't remember what the premise was about Street Sharks, but I remember that cartoon, but I don't remember the premise. Somebody just brought up Heathcliff, and that is so funny you brought that up because that was also one of my favorite cartoons back in the day was Heathcliff. And what was that? And then it was like those other cats, the alley cats. So that was definitely a dope cartoon. He was always messing with them dogs. Let me see here. Yep, there was a lot of after school specials. The Flintstones, Archie. Let me see. Dragon Tales. I remember Dragon Tales. I do remember them. Ren and Stimpy was definitely the shit back then. Let me see here. Okay, now who remembers back in the day when Beetlejuice had a cartoon? Remember when the Beetlejuice movie was really popular and everybody was watching that, and then they gave him his own cartoon show? The Beetlejuice cartoon was crazy as hell as well. Marvin says, does anybody remember the Weekenders? I don't remember that one. I remember Rocco's Modern Life, Kiki. And Bobby's World. That was my show. And the mom would be like, don't you know? I remember the Beerstein Bears. That came on later. Because I was in high school when the Beerstein Bears got their cartoon. Because there was a daycare in my high school. And I used to work in daycare first hour. I told you guys this in the past. So we had a daycare. We had a lot of teen moms at my school. And so first hour, it was my job to feed the babies. And I remember around that time is when the Beerstein Bears came out with their cartoon. Clifford the Big Red Dog. It was another one that the kids used to like as well. Arthur. All the babies used to love Arthur. So we'd have to make them cereal and feed them. And, you know, we'd watch the cartoons with them in the morning. And I got a credit for that damn class. And I remember one day, I just didn't feel like being bothered, right? So we ditched first hour. I was like, you know what? I don't feel like going to first hour. So me and my best friend at the time, we ditched class. We just hung out. We just didn't feel like going to go feed the damn babies, right? Until we came back the next day, we went to first hour, and our daycare teacher flipped out on us. She was like, how dare you guys ditch my class? Do you know those babies were crying? They love your presence, and they were looking for you. They were like, where's TT? So after, like, she made us feel so guilty, we never ditched daycare class again. The fact that I had a daycare in my high school says a lot, because when I talk to other people like, oh, did y'all have a daycare? They're like, no, we did not have a daycare in our high school. I'm like, oh, you didn't take daycare class? You didn't babysit, you know, first or second hour? They're like, no, our high school didn't have our daycare, but my high school did. And she literally shamed us. Like, she went off on us. And she was like, don't ever ditch my class, because not only are you going to disappoint me, but you're going to disappoint the babies. And you know what I'm saying? I had to feed more babies. I didn't have extra hands. It was crazy. So long story short, I never ditched that class again. But I remember those kids. They used to love the Arthur cartoon and the Beerstein Bears. Yes, we had a daycare in our high school, RY. Our school was in the hood, but it was still a good school. But yeah, we had a daycare. They eventually got rid of it. Like, by the time, I think it was like 2 years after I graduated, they got rid of the daycare because they were like, too many girls were getting pregnant and, you know, using the daycare as a crutch. Like, oh, if I get pregnant, I'm going to have free childcare. So after a while, when they initially implemented it, they said in the 80s, it was a good thing to help, you know, keep teen parents in school, so that way they could still go to school and not drop out, and then they knew that their baby was, you know, in the school getting babysat and getting well taken care of. But after a while, you know, the next generation of damn kids, they kind of ruined that. So it was just too many girls just getting pregnant and then trying to just, you know, use the free daycare system. So they eventually shut down 2 years after I graduated high school. But yeah, I had a daycare in my high school. Yep, I worked there freshman year and sophomore year. But in sophomore year, I dealt with them in the afternoon. So I didn't make breakfast. And my sophomore year was like afternoon. Oh, you had one too? Okay, Stephanie Hill. Okay, I'm glad I was. Okay, so we weren't the only one. Serenity Joy says we had a DACA store in high school. So a few high schools had daycares. It wasn't just ours. That's good. Jenny says, I was a teen mom. I used to bring her and feed her. So you guys had a daycare at your school too. Okay. That's so funny. Because, yeah, most schools didn't have them. Okay, so you said in Chicago they had a specific school for pregnant teenagers. Yeah, we had one too. We had Agape for like pregnant teens, but our school just decided to have a daycare as well. But they did have schools that were specifically for like pregnant teens. So Dark Princess says we still have a daycare in my high school now. Okay, so you guys have them. Aspiring Creator says they still have daycares in some high schools. Yeah, it's not a myth. People think I'm just lying when I say that. Like, yeah, that was like a real thing. There were high schools in daycares. I mean, there were daycares in high school. Yes, I remember He-Man and She-Ra. Okay, somebody's saying that they can't hear me. I don't know why. Check your speakers. Everybody else can still hear me, right? Yeah, Chicago's in the house. In Maryland, they also had daycares in high school. Okay, cool. So Miss Blue says, T, your Sunday chat streams are fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're liking them. Yeah, it just depends on what school you went to. I'm not ashamed of our daycare in our high school. I love the kids, and sometimes I'll see them, like all the kids that I took care of in the daycare, they're all like they're like 20 now. I've seen a few of them. They're grown. And one of them is a cutie. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've known you since you were in Pampers. And now he's grown. So it's so funny. Let's see. Somebody just posted a donation. I'm sorry if I'm missing these super chats. I apologize. For some reason, it's not like keeping them up at the top. So Jatari Mentor says they need daycare / parenting classes everywhere. Yeah, definitely need parenting classes. I definitely agree with that. Thank you so much. I am beautiful. I appreciate that. There's so many comments in here. Okay, yep. I remember the Brats. They did. They had their own show as well. It was a lot. Like I said, it was so many different things that they had going on, especially back then. So another thing that happened here, I took some more notes. So not just like, the FCC changing stuff, all the commercials and things like that. Like I said, back in the 80s, it was literally the Wild Wild West of cartoons. They just had anything going on. But I also think that even, if you think about it, they would have had to get rid of Saturday morning cartoons anyways, because at that point they had a monopoly. But by the time cable television came out, there were so many different choices to, choose from. And then now, being that we live in a microwave society, people are just able to just get whatever they want. And that's just the end of it. If they want to go and watch a bunch of 80s cartoons right now, they can have it at their fingertips. If they want to go ahead and watch a whole season, it's at their fingertips. So I don't think it would have lasted much longer anyhow. But one thing that I did like about back then is the fact that just things were just simpler. And like we talked about last week with technology, like just really dumbing us down and making it where we don't really interact as much. And, there's good parts to bad parts with technology. Like right now I'm talking to you guys. We're doing a live. You guys can see me, hear me. I'm able to read your comments. So it's like we're interacting, which is cool. But back then it was even more fun because literally you'd have to go outside and really interact with people and really get to know them. So that's the one thing that's like different now between like the 90s and stuff like that. Even now, like if I was just to say something, people who were raised in the 90s are going to get it. So think about this. Remember back then when we all used to have cassette players, right? And then I remember I seen a meme one day and it had a cassette tape and it had a pencil. And that was it. And everybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s understood it right away. Because anytime that tape messed up in the tape player, you'd have to take a pencil and that's how you fixed it. Well, my kids, they're like, what is that? Like, they didn't get it at all. Because why? All their music is on MP3. You know what I'm saying? All their music, I think they can just download it. With us, we had cassette tape. So, who remembers that? Who remembers taking a pencil and then twisting your cassette tape to get, I don't know what that stuff was called. That brown stuff, is it film? I don't know what that was called. But you had to roll it back in. Okay, I'm glad you guys remember that. You can tell who grew up in the 90s. Everybody's like, yep, I remember that. Yep, that tape, that brown stuff that would come out of the tape. And you had to roll it back in. And then who remembers this? Y'all got me cracking up. Okay, who remembers Blockbuster, right? And then remember the whole theme for Blockbuster movies was be kind and rewind. And I was watching, like, you know, as I was doing this show, I was just watching stuff from, like, back in the day. And, you know, we all had Blockbuster memberships. This was before you could go to a rent box. And just think about how much, like, the convenience is now for us. Back then, literally, if you went to Blockbuster and you went to go watch a movie and it was at the end, you literally had to literally, sorry, I'm saying that. When you had to rewind it in the VCR, you're literally watching the movie backwards. Especially like with early VCRs, and it didn't rewind that fast. So that was like the worst part. So that was like a big slogan back in the 90s. Be kind, hit rewind. Blockbusters was the shit. Oh my goodness, we spent many of Fridays at Blockbusters. Like when we'd have summer parties and stuff. Go to Blockbusters, you get a chance to pick out 2 movies, and then, you know, those are the movies that you watch for the weekend with your friends. I remember Hollywood Video. Oh, they did. Okay, so Melena says Blockbuster rewinding fees. I had the automatic VCR rewinder. So they did charge you fees. Okay, I didn't realize that. I wasn't the one paying for it. But it made sense. But yeah, that was like a big thing. So when I was looking at that, like, look how far we've come. Because now, like, we're not even using DVDs as much. You know, they had the whole Blu-ray thing. But I never even really bought a Blu-ray player because I don't even watch DVDs that much. The only thing I do with DVDs is my T25 because it's on a disc. So I like working out to DVDs. But as far as, like, everything else, we can just stream it nowadays. You know, I have Amazon Prime. I have Netflix. You know, we can watch movies on YouTube, on television, you know, right on our television with our smart TVs. So it's like, we don't even have to worry about that. We can fast forward. We can go all the way to the beginning. Like, stuff is so convenient. Like, these kids will never know the hassle that we went through growing up. But you know what? It made us be stronger, more resilient people. Another thing. Who remembers this? Let me take a sip. Yeah, I remember the Jackson 5 cartoon. Who remembers when you had to roll down your window with the manual? I seen that. I'm like, it looks so archaic. And then what was so crazy, like, you only were able to roll down your window, your driver's side window. So if it was hot, you'd have to literally get out the car and roll down all 4 windows. If it started raining, you'd have to pull over, roll them all up. And then if you had friends driving with you, let's say you had a friend in the passenger and 2 in the back, before they get out the car, you better remind them, roll up them back windows. Because I'm not about to come back there and roll them up. But see, nowadays, all you got to do is hit a button and your windows go up and down and things like that. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys remember that. Yep, with the little knob. Yep, sometimes the knob will pop off. You're not lying, Nikki. I seen many of cars where that knob was gone and you'd have to, like, push it with your hand like that. They still have photo booths. Somebody said, do you remember photo booths? They still have them now, but now they're more digitalized. So, like, now when you take a picture, like, they have all types of pop-up photo booths. And now when you take a picture, they go straight to your email or they go straight to Instagram. So they still have them, but I remember the ones with the strips. I remember me and my play cousin Santiago. I still have those little photo booth pictures of us. He lives in New York, and I go to visit him when I'm out there. I saw him this past July when I was out in New York. We went out to Hell's Kitchen and everything else. But I still have these old pictures of me and him. I was 15 at the time. He was 13. We took him at the arcade at the Mall America back in the day. And it's 4 photo strips together. Like, those were just memories. I love those. Somebody said Easy Bake Oven. I remember that. But I hated the Easy Bake Oven because that wasn't enough damn food. All that did was tease me, Almighty Coven. That's all the Easy Bake Oven ever did. I remember the Snorks. You know what? We didn't really get Soul Train like that. Anita says, let's not forget Soul Train on Saturdays. We didn't get it like that. Like, I would see it every now and then. I think that was more popular on the East Coast. because we talked about this like 2 weeks ago. We had Star Search. That's what we had in the Midwest. They used to have Star Search on all the time in the Midwest. I was only able to catch Soul Train every now and then. It's like it didn't come on regularly for me. Yep, they had all types of record stores. Oh my goodness, Miss Blue says the Walkman. Yep, they had the Walkman, and then they had the Discman. And I remember when I bought my first Discman, I was in 9th grade. I had saved up my babysitting money, and I bought a Discman. And I remember the first thing I was listening to in the Discman was the Bone record. Bone had just dropped East 99, their album, and I love that record. So I was listening to that. Man, it was cold as hell. I'm walking home from school. I don't know what the hell happened. All I know is that I lost my balance and the damn Discman went flying and broke. And that was the end of that shit. I was like, what the hell? I had just spent like $60 on it. It landed one time and it broke. And I wasn't able to use it again. And I was like, I'm not going to buy another one. So that was my short-lived experience with the Discman. And it's funny now because, you know, we have iPods and, you know, iTouches and, you know, iPads, all that stuff that store our music. But if you drop, like, let's say you drop your iTouch, it's not broken. You know what I'm saying? It's sturdy enough where it's going to keep working and keep playing. But yeah, my Discman broke. I was hella salty. Yep. Suregrade 08 says BET and MTV were still good during that time. It was, and the good thing about them is like back then, especially with MTV, it was about music. It was called video music television, or music television, excuse me. That's what MTV stood for. And it was about music. You went to MTV to watch music videos. I remember when VH1 literally played nothing but music. I remember seeing, like, you know, Dangerous Game of Love with Helena Christensen, and I forgot the guy who sung it. They used to play that song all the time. And then remember Rico Suave? His song used to be on there all the damn time. Like, that's all they played. And now when you see VH1, VH1 is now turned into like the ratchet television station of all the networks. You know what I'm saying? But back in the day, all they did was just really play, like, you know, top 40 music. And same with MTV, they played a lot of music. And then I remember when they started bringing in reality television, and the first one they really brought in was The Real World. And I was hooked. I loved The Real World. I was such a fan. I remember seeing Tammy Roman on there back when I was a kid. And, you know, I'm like in elementary school watching this. And I remember when she got an abortion on television. And that was like a crazy thing. That caused so much controversy. And I think she was like pregnant by like Marlon Wayans or something. You know, looking back on it, it's like, should we have been watching this in elementary school? Like, MTV was a trip. Magnetic Source says, put in Nintendo cartridges in the freezer. I don't remember that one. I remember blowing on my Nintendo cartridges. Remember that? I remember blowing on it, giving it a blow job. You know what I'm saying? But I don't remember putting it in the freezer. What did it do if you put it in the freezer? Because we never did that. Yep, I remember Teen Summit. BET was really good. They had like a lot more educational shows back then. Teen Summit was the shit. I remember watching that around noon on BET. They used to have Teen Summit, Video Soul. They would have like, you know, they had like their own news station. And it was dedicated to news every evening. And I don't know, like BET was just so more well-rounded back then. And then by the late 90s, they had BET Uncut, and then it just went all the hell. It really did. Yeah, BET Uncut was off the chain. That caused a lot of controversy. No, Rico didn't die from AIDS. Rico Suave, that was the song. The one who died from AIDS was Pedro on The Real World. That was The Real World San Francisco with Pedro Zamora. That was his name. I remember that was like a really like crazy season that taught a lot of people about like HIV AIDS, the gay community. That was my first exposure as a child to like gay people, to HIV, you know, like MTV used to have like some really, really deep stuff, you know, because you figure I was like 11 at the time. So, you know, just watching that, and I really liked Pedro. And then I liked how, you know, Rachel responded, because that was just like a natural response. everybody was in Pedro's face and was like, oh my God, you have AIDS, you're so brave, and wow, you know, good for you for telling your story. Honey, Rachel looked at him. She was like, oh, hell no. Rachel walked out the damn room. I would never forget that. She walked straight out the room. But that was just an honest reaction. And looking back on that, I can appreciate that, because that was just, you know, that was a time when we didn't have to be filtered. We didn't have to be censored. Nowadays, if somebody did that on television, they get so much hate mail. They be called homophobic. They be drugged. And they're just, you know, reacting naturally to a situation. Everybody, especially back then when people didn't know a lot about HIV, AIDS, and they didn't really, you know, they kind of knew how it's transmitted. But again, she was scared for her health. She's like, you know, I'm living in a household with this man. I don't know, you know, am I going to catch something? Like, her reaction was just a natural reaction. And I respected MTV for just showing that. And then eventually, you know, she warmed up to him and they became really close friends. And what's so funny about Rachel now, she is married to Sean, who was on the Real World Boston, like season 5, Real World Boston. And Sean was from Wisconsin, and he was like a log dude where he used to, like, you know, I don't know what they do, like log jumping. But now he's like a big Republican. Like, he is doing a lot of stuff, and they have a bunch of kids. I think they have like maybe like 7 kids or something like that. But they're like really big in the Republican Party. So to see how wild Rachel was back then and to see where she's at now, it's just like a total transformation. But yeah, the Real World was the shit back then. Yes, I did have a Tamagotchi, Quantum Storm. I sure did. And one time it died in class and it made all this damn noise. My teacher was like, what the hell is that? I was like, my Tamagotchi died. Yep, you used to have to feed it. You had to pick up the poop. It was crazy. It was like this virtual pet. For these kids who don't know what we're talking about, it was like a virtual pet. It was like in the shape of an egg. And it would cry if you didn't pay it attention. It was insane. Like, me and that thing got along for like maybe 2 months, and then it got on my damn nerves. And that's why I don't have pets to this day. I just don't have the patience. Oh yeah, Digipets. Yep, that was another name for them. Yep, Tammy Ronan. She is one of the pioneers of reality television. You are definitely right about that, Jay. Jessica Town says, remember when MTV had True Life? I used to love True Life on MTV. They do it every now and then, but I don't think it's not as frequent. Because I remember there was a point in time where it was like literally every Wednesday was, you know, True Life. And I loved it. It was very interesting to see other people's lives, how they lived, the things that they were going through. So I think one of my favorite episodes of True Life was the kid who got the gastric bypass. He was like, I mean, he was huge. He was like 400 pounds. And he was in the pool swimming. And he's like, everybody keeps thinking I'm a girl. And I'm topless because his titties were bigger than mine, honey. And so he kept fighting to get gastric bypass. And back then it was more strict because he was young. I think he was like 16 at the time. And so he had to go through like just all this paperwork and, you know, getting approval. And then he eventually got the gastric bypass. He lost all this weight. He became a cop. He looked good. They did like an update like maybe 8 years later or something. And so like the gastric bypass really helped him. So I loved his story. And then I remember, who remembers the True Life that went back when they had Amadi Stoudemire on there? And it was him and another guy. I forget the guy's name. Me and my son had a real dope conversation about him. If y'all remember, it was like the basketball episode, and he was probably a better player than Amari Stoudemire, but the dude kept getting in trouble. He had like assaulted somebody really bad at a party and almost killed them. And so, you know, a lot of the colleges and stuff didn't want to recruit him. And so anyhow, he had a chance to go to the NBA and he wasn't drafted. And we watched it on True Life play out. That shit was crazy. This was like back in 2005. Amari Stoudemire, he got drafted, but the dude didn't. And I forget his name. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Does anybody remember that? He was a basketball player. Somebody Google it. The basketball player from True Life who didn't make it into the NBA. It was a really good episode. It was really, really good. And it just shows you, like, you know, how much, like, it's like a lottery. It really is. Like, everybody's not, no matter how good you are, you may just not make it to the NBA. And I think since then, he played a few games overseas, and now he's just retired. He doesn't play basketball anymore. But it was a really good episode. Somebody else brought up something. I remember Pimp My Ride with Exhibit. Sita's World. I remember that. Now that was the little animated cartoon girl who had the attitude. She had the little short bob. No, she had like the little short like crop haircut. And she was on BT, and she would she would like watch music videos, and she would just go in and drag people while watching the music videos. Sita was a mess. I don't know who did her voice, but Sita was funny. I remember that show. And then remember Hits from the Street? And I remember one time he went around knocking on people's door doing a hair weave giveaway. And he was acting like he was like the Publishers Clearinghouse. And he would knock on your door and be like, "You guys just won." And people were like, "What did I win? What did I win?" "You won a package of weave." His from the Streets was stupid as hell. I remember that on BET. Dreamy2 says, diskettes from computers. Yep. Now we don't have to use no type of disc. The memory's already there. Beavis and Butthead, that was one of my favorite shows. Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons. And that was the crazy part with Beavis and Butthead, is that a lot of people just didn't like them because, you know, they were just so vulgar and the things that they would say. But as a kid, I used to love that show. Yeah, Sita was kind of vulgar. She was a trip. Somebody said Sherry Carter and Donnie Simpson on Video Soul. That was his name, Donnie Simpson. He had them light eyes. You couldn't tell Donnie shit, honey. He'd be in the camera blinking and shit, making sure that you knew he had hazel eyes. And Sherry Carter was really pretty. She was from Jamaica. I used to love that show. I saw, like, I'm just having so much nostalgia just reading this stuff. I remember Rocco's Modern Life. Oh, I forgot all about Hell Date. That was on BET. I remember Hell Date, but it was so staged, though. Hell Date was so staged. I'm just reading some more of these comments. I remember hanging with Mr. Cooper. That was the show right there. College Hill. Remember when that girl busted that other girl in the forehead and she was bleeding everywhere? College Hill was crazy. That was before, like, you know, all these ratchet reality television shows. College Hill was the shit on BET. I remember that. That was the show right there. Reality TV News says, I remember when MTV had all those dating shows like Next and Room Raiders. I remember Next. That was funny. Because they'd be in the middle of the date and you're thinking it's going good. And they'd be like, next. I don't know who came with these concepts, but that shit was funny as hell. That was too funny. I remember Change Your Heart. Wasn't the game on there? On Change Your Heart? Okay, now y'all bringing it back. I love Salute Your Shorts. Y'all remember Budnick? And then what was the fat white boy's name? His name was Donkey Lips. He was funny as hell. Then you had Telly, the black girl, on there. That show was really good. I liked the Salute Your Shorts. And I liked them because they were just regular kids. They were just regular, everyday kids. Like, to me, they were like the anti-Disney kids. They weren't trying to be perfect. You know, they were always involved in some fuck shit. They was always, you know, doing something at Camp Anawana. Like, that was my show right there. That show was really good. Let's see here. Oh, my goodness. We've already been on here for an hour. It's already it's 6:56. I can't believe we've been out here for an hour already. It's just gone on so quickly. So, like I said, how I want to, you know, do the live streams is that we do a serious topic one week and then we do a light topic the next week, just so it's not so heavy. Because last week was definitely a really heavy topic with transhumanism and all that stuff. So this week I want it to be like more light, where we just, you know, do like a nostalgia show and talk about the 90s and stuff like that. So, yeah, the time has already elapsed. So we've almost been on here for an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to get off. But what do you guys want to talk about next week? Like, what documentaries, what topics and stuff like that do you guys want to hit on for next week? What are you guys interested in learning more about? And then I can research and try and look up a documentary or even just some YouTube videos. So just let me know. Nikendra says, I had a crush on Xena. I remember Xena, the Warrior Princess. Gullah Gullah Island was the shit. Now, you remember the boy, who remembers My Brother and Me, Alfie? He's been in a lot of trouble since that show ended. He did time in prison, all types of stuff. But My Brother and Me, that was my show. Somebody said Women in Prison. I remember my mom watching that show. That was a really good show, Women in Prison. It was a scripted show, but they were like, I don't know, they were involved in all types of stuff. I vaguely remember, but I remember my mom watching it. No, Efrain Hernandez, are you going to review Napoli Ever After? No, I haven't even watched it. I seen the preview on Netflix, but I haven't watched it. I don't really review shows anymore. Unless it's like something like I don't know, that's just really intriguing to me. But I might have to check it out because I do like Sanan Lathan. No, I'm not talking about the whole blackfishing thing. I don't care. I just don't care. Because again, me and one of my subscribers had a really deep conversation in my DM about it. I mean, just super deep. And I just don't care about the situation anymore. Just for the fact, one, again, the reason why these girls are able to pull it off is because of the people that y'all follow. People love to follow people who look racially ambiguous, who don't look anything like they look. You know what I'm saying? These people have these big follows, and then you got these white girls trying to make themselves look more racially ambiguous so that way they can start getting deals. And you know what I'm saying? It's about the people. At the end of the day, these people cannot get popular if you guys are not following them. You know, they're trying to hustle and get their money. I don't respect it, but I'm not about to take a whole video and dedicate it to that. I just don't care. It's at this point in time, it's like nothing surprises me with what people do on social media anymore for attention. You know what I'm saying? You had Rachel Dolezal literally pretend to be a full black woman, again, because we want to claim everybody under the sun. We want to act like, you know, there's nothing that differentiates us, and, you know, phenotype doesn't matter. Everybody's black. So being that everybody's black, that's why these people are doing things like blackfacing and blackfishing, whatever they call it. But I'm not going to waste my time talking about it because I've done enough topics. I've done enough videos on that topic altogether. And I'm not talking about it. So let's see. I remember Tales from the Crypt. I do remember that. Yeah, we've talked about colorism. Oh, the surrogacy. Okay, that might be a good topic. Surrogacy. Jessica A., you said hair. What about hair? What would you want to talk about concerning hair? I'm just taking some notes here. Ooh, somebody just wrote something. Claudia, let's see. The dangers of the food industry. I like that, Claudia. Take a bow, ma'am. You just rewritten our alma mater. Who remembers Mr. Clark said that in Lean On Me? Take a bow, Miss Powers. You've rewritten our school's alma mater. I like that topic. I'm writing that down. I think that'd be a really good topic to hit on, the dangers of the food industry. And there's a lot of really good documentaries on that as well. Let's see. I'm not talking about sex changes at all. That's not my league. There's YouTubers who have gone through that, so I'll leave that to them to talk about that. The Mandela effect, that's interesting. I've been researching that lately as well. So I'm just taking some notes on different topics. So like I said, I was going to do a light and a heavy. So next week will be heavy. The New Jack Swing of the 80s and the 90s. Okay. That might be a good light topic, Miss Anita Watkins. But I like that. So that'll be a good light topic to talk about. We can definitely do that. So like I said, I'm not going nowhere. I'm loving these Sunday discussions. I feel like I'm getting closer to you guys. I'm getting to know more about you guys. So I'm definitely going to be here every Sunday. You know, if I'm not able to, I'll let you guys know in advance. But these are some really good topics to talk about. Breed Love says the New World Order. Okay. That'd be a good one. So I'm just taking notes as you guys are saying them. I'm just copying and pasting. Opioids and the food we eat. That'd be a really good one. I've been being discriminated against when I go to the hospital because people want to play with pain pills and get high and think this shit's cute. And now it's affecting people with chronic illnesses. So I have a big disdain for people who abuse opioids and think it's funny because it's affecting people who have chronic illnesses. So I can really speak on that because I had to like literally go off on one of the ER doctors when I was hospitalized a few weeks ago because they were literally trying to give me bullshit that wasn't going to do anything for me. And they gave it to me when I'm like, that's not going to work. That's not going to do anything for my pain because I have such a high pain tolerance. And, but they wanted to start super low because of these people coming into these emergency rooms seeking drugs. And I had to remind them the last time I was hospitalized, like, was over a year and a half ago. Like, I had surgery a year ago, but that wasn't because of my chronic illness. But the last time I was hospitalized was over a year and a half ago. So you're not going to treat me like I'm some type of revolving door patient. Like I come in here seeking drugs. I don't give a damn who's overdosing on what. That don't have nothing to do with my care. So unfortunately, because of like this whole opioid crisis, it's really affecting people who have chronic illnesses, who are suffering with cancer and things like that. They're not being properly treated and medicated because these doctors are so scared that they're going to get them addicted to stuff. My thing is the pill bottle says take 2 pills. Like let's say I have a bottle of morphine, right? It says take 2 morphine pills, right? Oh no, take no more than 2, no more than 2 pills in a 12-hour period. Okay? So if you take what the damn bottle is telling you to take, you will not be addicted. But now if you decide to take 12 pills in 2 hours, that's on your ass. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people shouldn't be punished because we want to abuse pills. Like I understand people get addicted, but don't lump people who have chronic illnesses in with the same, in the same basket as somebody who just wants to get high to numb the pain or whatever they're going through. That doesn't have anything to do with me per se. So that would be a really good topic. I definitely like that. So thank you, my goodie store. Let's see here. Let's see. Interracial dating being pushed. Hold on. Interracial dating, on-screen couples in television and film. Black women are often paired with white men. Black men with white women. Yeah, that's just what it is, unfortunately. But, can you really blame the industry? You can look at the music industry and blame them. The music industry, for the most part, the artists are the ones who pick their love interest. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them are picking people who don't look like them. They're picking, other races. Now when I watch music videos, I don't even really see black women in music videos anymore. I see Latina women, Asian women, and white women. More than I even see black women. And these women are in hip-hop videos. So, and I know for a fact that these artists are the ones who pick the girls in the videos. So, we also have to take some personal responsibility and blame ourselves, too, for why the image has shifted. Why we went from having, black models and black video vixens in the 80s and 90s to now, they're not there anymore. You barely even see black women in videos. Food waste would be a good one. Who just wrote that? Somebody wrote something. The War of Water. I watched a really good documentary on the scarceness of water. I watched it a few months ago. That's a really good one. I'm going to go ahead and note that. Whatever. Let's see. What else? The life of the Native Americans now. What's wrong with their lives now? Like, what do you want me to talk about? Online cults, that sounds good. I know some of like the tribes and stuff are, some of the tribes are poor. A lot of people think that Native Americans who, that they're rich because they're tied in with the casinos. Only certain Native American tribes are tied in with the casinos, and only certain Native American tribes are rich from the casinos. But a lot of the tribes, a lot of the reservations, they're poor. They're poor. So I don't know if that's what you want me to hit on. Netflix documentaries think about household chemicals and what's in our clothes. I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't even know that existed. Okay, cool. So I think we have like a lot of really good topics. 6, I don't even know how to say the rest of your name, but 6 says, I actually think T would give very solid advice in life lessons. And I really could. I'm good at giving advice. The medical industry and the history of experimenting on black women and how their racist ideologies affect black women. I love that, Ella. That is a really good topic. I love that. And that still goes on to this day. a lot of people need to really thank, black women for a lot of the cures and a lot of the things that have helped to advance the medical establishment, because they did a lot of those experimentations on black people, especially black women, especially in the field of gynecological studies. Okay, they literally tortured black women with no anesthesia, no nothing, using, putting forceps inside of us and cutting us open and, going in and looking at their wombs. And they did all types of just crazy experiments to black women, especially like black slave women or indentured servants and things like that. So, yeah, there's definitely a really dark side to the medical field and how, modern medicine has advanced to where it's at today. There's a really dark side. So that would be really interesting to talk about. Yeah, they ended up using that. Who was that? Henrietta Lacks, when they took her stem cells, and they're still using her stem cells to this day. There was like a really good movie on that. Tracy Living My Truth says, "Oh my God, really? Yes, it's the truth. They did a lot of they tortured a lot of black women. They did back then when they were trying to figure out, what makes the human body tick. They did." So we can definitely find some really good documentaries on that. Raven Rose says, "My fiance is white." Okay. Congrats. Never be ashamed. Love is love. So she wanted y'all to know that. Leela Ford says, "The Tuskegee Airmen." That'd be a good one. I'm going to put that down. I love the movie, though. What was that, Red Tails? I watched that movie at the movie theater twice. That's how much I liked it. I enjoyed it. J. Cage. "Damn, T's a fine sister." Thank you, boo. Appreciate you. Gil is talking about this Tuskegee experiments. Look it up. Yep, it's the truth. Y'all look that stuff up. So I think we have a lot of stuff. Dame Delamore says, "Raising the vibrational frequency." I don't want to get too metaphysical, but that would be a good topic too. But I think the pro-blacks of YouTube, they talk about that. Or they still talking about rappers and gossiping. Because, when you go get some education from the pro-black sector, I feel like they spend more time talking about rappers and who's beefing and trending topics than they talk about vibrational frequencies and chakras and shit. Dang old mush mouths. Fluoride is blocking the third eye. Oh, I'm going to have to research that. Okay, you guys have some really good points. We talked about mass incarceration. SR Denmark's. Go back and watch my show. I did it about 3 weeks ago about the prison industrial complex. That was a really, really good show. We talked about it then. Oh, okay. Child sex trafficking. I watched an amazing documentary on that on Netflix. So thank you, Allie. So I think we have more than enough. We have a lot of stuff. So we're going to definitely have a lot of good topics to talk about in the upcoming week. So thank you guys so much for giving me ideas. I will put it together. So yeah, let's talk about the surrogacy thing. I'm really interested to dwell into that. I want to get y'all's opinions on that. I see people are taking it a little bit too lightly and they get offended. Anytime I'm like, yo, really look deep into that. Really know who's carrying your seed. Just because it's your sperm and your egg, you know what I'm saying? It's still that person's energy. It's still that person's womb. So we're going to get into that. I think that'll be a really good discussion to have next week. The beauty community and the YouTubers behind it. I'm not talking about the beauty community, baby. Sorry. There's certain beauty people I watch, but I'm not immersed in their community. That's not really the community I'm immersed with, so I don't even know where to start with that topic. Hell, I barely know how to put on damn makeup. Cloning, that'd be a good one too to talk about. Thank you so much, Tracy, Living My Truth. Thank you for coming through and being a moderator. Thank you to all my moderators tonight. So I've been on here for an hour and 14 minutes. JT wants to talk about cannibalism. It's definitely coming back. It is coming back. I talked about it on Lovely News Network. Y'all think I'm playing about that Santa Clarita Diet. Everything that they put into movies and television is predictive programming. They're trying to get people conditioned to be okay with cannibalism. They're trying to make it, chic. You know what I'm saying? So it's really deep when you like really delve into that. Just like those girls who put their grandfather's ashes in the cookies, that was a form of cannibalism. And that's probably why they did that, because they're watching shows like Santa Clarita Diet. And y'all can say it's a comedy and it's funny, but that's how you mask stuff. You put it in the form of a comedy because then it's easier to swallow. You know what I'm saying? Then it's not seen as something serious or nefarious because you're laughing. But really, they're subconsciously programming you to think that it's okay to eat human flesh. That's why they have these, spirit cooking parties and all that bullshit that you see these celebrities doing. And they have cakes where it looks like, the woman's pregnant and you're cutting open the baby and eating the baby. I don't know. It's just a lot of sick shit. But I definitely think that they're trying to make cannibalism okay. I'm just saying. So anyways, okay, we done went from talking about Saturday morning cartoons to cannibalism. You see where this comment section takes me, you guys? It just took me from one spectrum to a whole nother. But yeah, anyways, you guys, yeah, it's gross. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. This week is Thanksgiving. I know we just got done talking about cannibalism. And now I'm going to be like, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkeys and whatever else. I don't eat turkey, but, we will be having turkey because everybody else eats turkey. So I will be up early cooking. We're going to have people come over, my family, my brothers. So I'm super excited. Hope you guys all have a happy Thanksgiving. I will try and put some more videos out either tomorrow or Tuesday. So thank you guys again for joining me this Sunday on my Documentaries in Discussion. Come back next Sunday. We'll be talking about surrogacy. So I will see you guys later, okay? Have a good evening. Bye.